Well, I'm just going to open us in prayer and bless this food, so bow with me if you would. Lord, we thank you for tonight. We thank you for this food and the hands that have prepared it. We thank you for family, for friends, for fellowship together. Most of all, we thank you for the opportunity to celebrate together this special and important event in the lives of these graduates. We thank you that you've been good to this class this year and throughout their lives, and we thank you that you have a good plan for each one of them as they go on from here. We pray for a special day tomorrow and a special night tonight that will create more memories that they'll hold on to for a lifetime. And we just bless this evening, and thank you that it's happening because of you. In your son's name we pray, amen. All right. We move forward. We, at this point, will begin with tributes for seniors.
All right, Amelia, where are you? Hello. Stand up so we can see you. Yes. Okay, so what's that? Don't just stand. I have had the delight this year of being Amelia's statistics teacher. And one of the most important things to come out of this class was not that students can now run a significance test, as you might expect, but rather Amelia's idea for a podcast, website, blog, we're still hammering out the details, where I discuss various information and determine whether it is true, factual, and ultimately, verifiably true noni. So let this be the inaugural post. So Amelia App, a member of Trinity's graduating class of 2024, arrived here at the start of her sophomore year. She wasted no time in throwing herself into our community wholeheartedly. She became an integral part of our track team, choral ensembles, and our peer mentorship program, all on top of all of her time spent volunteering, both inside and outside of the school. All of this is in addition, of course, to her optimistic and curious disposition in the classroom. And what a blessing to our community she has been. Amelia commits herself completely to those around her. She has a heart that cares deeply and longs to serve God and others. Not only has she led us singing during worship, she has also formed and led a breakout group to help others seek out God's guidance. And as you all know, if she has a conversation with you, you know she is genuinely interested in everything you have to say and in who you are as a person. Handling the stress and uncertainty that senior year can bring with grace, in the face of it all, she exudes an ultimately joyful demeanor and lifts up the people around her. Amelia will be greatly missed as she goes on to attend Alamance Community College this fall. And that, my friends, is certified true noni.
Gabby, stated plainly, to know you is to love you. Your effervescent smile, your delight in the small moments, and your abundant enthusiasm for life make it easy to adore you. But there is so much more to you than the joyful, beautiful young woman we see on the outside. In a world in which everyone is constantly trying to be someone or something else, you stand confidently alone as Gabrielle Rose Bagley. You are not afraid to be yourself. Better yet, you are proud to be yourself. You are glad to laugh loudly, to jump gleefully in excitement, to have the hard conversation, or to ask for ways in which you can improve, all because you know that being yourself is better than trying to be someone else. Yet your impressive confidence is matched with a graciousness and kindness that immediately draws others to you. Gabby, I have watched you intentionally listen to and connect with peers with whom other students have not always been as kind. You choose to be kind to others even when it does not benefit you and even when it could lead your peers to question you. You simply desire to love those around you, and let me say, you have loved them well. From playing 3 sports and leading on those teams to serving as vice president of student government, each student group is filled with more laughter, more positivity, and more love because of you. Our Trinity community will miss you dearly, but I know the world will be better for it because you will be out there in it. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for coming out to the opening of yet another location of Jabo Gyms. Since founder Jason Bonilla launched in 2030, Jabo has taken the workout world by storm and even edged out CrossFit and Planet Fitness as the country's premier exercise destination. Everyone knows about our founder's physical prowess. Who isn't familiar with Jason's ripped abs, python biceps, Dwayne Johnson-worthy neck, and Olympic calves? But did you know that Jabo's most remarkable features aren't his rippling lats? His business success is built not only on those massive traps, but on the rock of his character and convictions, which actually became most evident during his formative years at Trinity School. Yes, Jason stood out for so many reasons at Trinity. His steadiness and dependability became evident as he grew in stature as a student, and his teachers counted him as one of their most reliable, hardworking students in class by the end of his senior year. That muscularity is truly impressive and resulted in ever-increasing success in every part of his life. And for all of his smiles and easygoing personality, it was in high school that those around him began to realize what a person of depth he was. Jason was never afraid to get real in class with peers and teachers, resulting in class discussions that mattered and authentic friendships based on love and caring. He developed the ability to ask really good questions, which he used both for good to deepen a conversation and sometimes for evil to sidetrack and delay his teachers. Jabo Gyms does, yes, produce sculpted physiques, but more importantly, our founder, Jason Bonilla, produces the oh so much more valuable fruit of the Spirit of God in his life and those around him, emanating from his authentic faith in the one who made those Popeye-like forearms. And for that, we're most grateful. Let's cut the ribbon together on this exciting new venture.
Kassan. There's a lot that I could share from our last 3 years together, the unforgettable things you've said and done. But when I reflect on all of the chaos that has defined our Latin classroom, all that really comes to mind are the wonderful things you've accomplished and the remarkable young man you've become. It's been said that it is important to draw wisdom from many different places. If you take it from only one place, it becomes rigid and stale. I genuinely respect how well you've embraced this mentality, freely drawing insights from different facets of your life, from Latin to engineering, track, theater, even pop culture and video games. You weave it all together in a way that is utterly distinctive, completely your own. You may not yet realize just how valuable that is, but I'm excited to see where it takes you. It's also been said, perfection and power are overrated. I think it is very wise to choose happiness and love. You are an amazing friend, Kassan. To so many, and not just to those in this room, but to the entire upper school. Did you know that the Latin 2 freshmen asked if they could invite you to their class party? They wanted to invite Mr. Colby and Kassan. And I've seen this in every group you're a part of, with happiness and love and your own unique sense of humor. You build communities where people feel they can be themselves. And so it is with the utmost seriousness that I say, Uncle Iro would be proud of you. I know I am. Penn State's lucky to have you. Just try not to fall out of your chair on the first day.
Let's be honest, you knew it was going to be me. Rylan, orientation day of your freshman year. You walked in with blue jeans and cowboy boots. Within a week, you came to school wearing a Sum 41 t-shirt and skater shoes. I was like, I like this guy's originality. Now, nearly 4 years later, you've left an indelible mark on me and our school. Without a doubt, you shared your fun-loving, humorous ways. Shall I tell a few of them? Randomly driving a remote-controlled car into my class one day with no context. Writing a song titled Gluten-Free Sweet Tea that starts with a kind request to be quiet to Owen. Making weirdly accurate bird noises while walking down the hall. I still have the video, by the way. Don't forget the email you sent to Mr. McIntosh requesting a Big Bird suit for Model UN trip. But God also made you a dynamic, creative, intelligent, and thoughtful young man. You successfully wrote, recorded, edited, and released and performed a solid discography of original songs, some of which are actually on Spotify playlists of mine. You spoke with humility, maturity, and wisdom to the underclassmen during the recent senior panel at worship. You unpack complex ideas ranging from the just war question to the relationship between sin and shame in the Scarlet Letter. You endured lost friendships, departed loved ones, and myriad other difficulties with a deepening faith and trust in Christ. Ultimately, whether you fuse country with pop punk or humor with creativity and intentionality, you refuse to be placed into a box. Instead, you are simply the man God created you to be. An original, creative, one-of-a-kind kind of guy. So, just as you wrote in a recent song of yours, let's not forget about the times that we spent together. And this world means nothing without goodbyes. I bid you adieu. Thanks for the memories. I love you, buddy.
Consider it all joy when you face trials of many kinds. Kyler, not everyone has the opportunity to walk through adversity at such a young age. I will bless the Lord at all times. His praise shall continually be in my mouth. And not everyone responds to hardships with the resilience and the determination to not only trust in God, but to praise his holy name. Kyler, it has been a pure joy this year to listen as you have spoken God's word deeply hidden in your heart. It has been my honor to pray with you as you boldly approach the throne of God to intercede for others. As a classmate, you have brought energy and life into your classrooms, and as a friend, you have been kind, compassionate, hilarious, and fun. This year, I have watched you grow in your concern, your urgency, your boldness, and your willingness to share God's love and his good news with others. And when the Lord encouraged you to lead a Bible study with your peers, you gladly answered, I will. You aptly called your capstone the calling. And what a pleasure it has been to have a front row seat to God's work in your life. Kyler Buxton, the Lord has called you. He has a very special plan for your life. You have an authentic love for the Lord and a God-given gift of sharing that with others. My prayer for you as you leave Trinity is that when God continues to ask, "Whom shall I send, and who will I go, and who will go?" that your answer will continue to be, "Here am I, Lord, send me."
I have had the pleasure of teaching Will this year in discrete math. This is a class I've taught before but was new to Trinity. A handful of students, including Will and I, enjoyed testing the waters of this new class. Over the past year, I've come to know a few things about Will. First, I know he cares about doing well. Though at times he can act goofy in class, when it came time to test, or if an assignment didn't go the way he wanted, he quickly came to see me to see what could be done to make sure he was as successful as possible. Secondly, and it's appropriate where we are, the boy likes to eat. And you might say, well, yeah, he's a teenage boy. It's like a trash compactor. No, it's not just that phase of life that many teens go through. Will likes to eat, but he likes to eat well. And he is well-traveled. I'm fairly certain that Will Epps is the best resource on dining in the area. Forget Yelp. Don't try Google. Talk to this man over here if you want to know where to eat. I also know that Will is proud of his heritage, speaking often about Georgia and even being related to Thomas Jefferson. Will is a strong, hands-on learner. He does well with subjects with a very tangible focus. And I believe with this in mind, his strong social nature and his desire to succeed, he will be able to attain and achieve whatever goals he sets for himself. Will, I wish you the best on this next leg of your journey.
Senior year, one endless scramble for college entrance, scholarships, and awards. As exhausting as it is, the process does force us all to ponder the virtues of those we champion. And as I reflect on Nathaniel Gatling's career, it's got me thinking. We should have an award here at Trinity based on his remarkable journey. We could call it the Nathaniel or the Gatlinger. Yeah, I'm seeing it. What an elite award it would have to be to do justice to the spectacular campaign that Nathaniel has conducted. First, the winner would have to display Nathaniel's relentless commitment to growth and self-improvement. As his humanities and LSL teacher, I have seen firsthand how much he's matured and changed as a student since those long ago days of sophomore year. When somewhere deep in his soul, he decided to go from good to great. His choice, his decision to remake himself is such a testament to his character. The Gatlinger winner would also have to show a remarkable attitude of respect towards teachers and peers alike. Never, even in the most challenging of circumstances, does Nathaniel compromise his commitment to interacting with everyone with courtesy, generosity, and a preference for the needs of others. But the most difficult quality our annual Gatlinger winner would need to reveal is Nathaniel's incredible heart of goodwill. Nathaniel's exuberant kindness and good nature cheers us all and makes every day in his presence a joyful one. And the legendary thank you notes he writes have threatened tears in many a teacher. Oh, and one more quality the award winner must have, a sense of style. Elijah Wallace style. Nathan's hero, wearing Tuscan leather like a good fellow, fur coat, fur hat for the cold weather. If a candidate can put together this kind of resume, he'll win for sure, and he'll remind us of all of the extraordinary career of the award's inspiration, our very own Gatling. Bless you, Nathan. We love you.
Asa. From the first preseason meeting, you and your fellow swim captains decided to prioritize team unity. Through every stroke, lap, and challenge, you led by example, and you demonstrated selflessness, dedication, and relentless excellence, making us more than a team. You made us a community. Your smile starts at your toes, and it fills every inch of your being. You care so very deeply about your faith, about your family, and about your friends and your community. You're curious, you take creative risk, and you have a true growth mindset for the sole reason of just being a better person. For your capstone project on civil discourse, you aim to create a good space for the Trinity community to engage with challenging and divisive issues, celebrating differences while keeping us Christ-centered. Your service on the Durham City Council as a junior member imparted wisdom to you that you willingly shared with the Trinity community. As part of your capstone, you invited Durham Mayor Leonardo Williams to Trinity's campus. And that morning, I saw you dragging an orange cone across the parking lot, and unable to hear an explanation from you, I just assumed that it was a senior prank. Imagine my surprise when later that morning, our faculty received an email that the mayor of Durham was on our campus. Asa, whether you are swimming fast in the pool, diving into lively class discussions, or digging into hard questions, you emanate deep joy. And that joy comes from knowing who created you and that his plans for you are for good. Asa, I pray that you will continue to lead insightfully, to work tirelessly, and to communicate powerfully. You truly are a young man of character and integrity, and I'm excited for the world beyond Trinity to experience your joy and your authenticity and the care as you go forward.
The life of a superhero isn't all it's cracked up to be. Sure, that spider bite may have given you incredible powers that allow you to combat the forces of evil in the world. But now you're faced with the endless pressure of living two lives at once, doing battle at night, somehow grinding through high school by day, and through it all, trying to support the family that means the world to you. Carlos, you know a thing or two about this kind of pressure. Your career at Trinity has been one of remarkable resilience in the face of a number of difficulties. You haven't just been living the life of a high school student. You've been working so hard to care for your family. That's a lot of pressure to deal with. A mere mortal might buckle, but not you. In your time at Trinity, you have shown a mature and selfless character that I genuinely admire. Motivated by a desire to honor and help your mother, you took concrete steps to improve your study habits. You raised your GPA very significantly during your junior year. You got yourself into college. And along the way, you showed kindness to so many at our school, whether it be helping friends in study hall or simply stacking chairs at the end of the day without being asked. Real character shows itself in these small daily gestures, just as much as in the grander narratives of our lives. Yes, the life of a superhero can be tough, but the good news is that you are made and loved by a God who knows the pressure and who knows that none of us, not Peter Parker, not Miles Morales, not even Carlos Gonzalez Guevara, can deal with it perfectly. I pray that you lean on God in those moments, and I can't wait to see how you bless others at UNCG.
Walt Whitman once said, "I contain multitudes." Tonight, I could not possibly describe all of Olivia's multitudes. All the gifts, experiences, feelings, and dreams that make her who she is. But I will name just a few. It was in Olivia's honors project on surrealist art that I first glimpsed her eye for design. Whether dancing, molding clay, crafting social media posts, drafting yearbook pages, or working on her portfolio, the deep riches within Olivia make their way outward in artistry, in shape, color, movement, and it's beautiful. Even being so gifted, Olivia treasures most of all, above all other things, the relationships in her life. I just have to say, some people might have broken under the strain of supporting and embracing so many loved ones. But like a bridge built on stone pillars, this woman has provided a gathering place and a safe passageway for the lives of friends and adults in her life, and it is so good to see. And while she may be a natural leader, advocating for her beloved yearbook, and while she may be a natural mentor, showing others how to pair gentleness with strength, still it must be said that many seasons have been hard. These things have made you weathered, Olivia, but they have also made you wise. And that is why perhaps the best words I can leave you with tonight are a truth that you wrote yourself. You said, "We can't expect perfection from our life. Something is always bound to go wrong. But we can find beauty in imperfection. The things and people around us aren't perfect, and neither are we. Those imperfections prove we're truly living." Olivia, you are truly living. You contain multitudes. May you be blessed as you create and connect in the new world that awaits you.
Candace. There is a particular flair, the Candace flair, that is instantly noticeable about you. A flair that consists of a warm, infectious, and lovably quirky energy and genuine warmth. You have a way of putting others at ease, always willing to listen, engage, or lend a helping hand. As your humanities teacher, witnessing you bravely tackle discussions with nuance and write with profound elegance, I assumed you were a humanities person through and through. Imagine my surprise, and maybe a little offense, when I discovered you consider yourself more of a science person. A wonderful testament to your versatility and curiosity in all facets. Your inquisitive and proactive nature allowed you to put your mark on Trinity and the surrounding community in so many wonderful and distinctly Candace ways. The SciMat Club, Diversity Club, the Duke Research Program, and as if you weren't impressive enough, teaching younger students Chinese for your senior capstone. While the houses you build in The Sims may showcase your creativity, it's the vibrant community you build around yourself that is truly remarkable. You effortlessly create spaces where everyone feels welcome and appreciated. Even your Google Docs are a testament to your colorful personality, as you always change your backgrounds and fonts to beautiful hues that reflect the very charm you bring everywhere you go. Everything you touch is brightened by your presence, and I cannot wait to see how you bring your unique Candace flair to the world.
Andrew. I've really enjoyed getting to know you over the last few years, even if at the beginning we didn't see eye to eye, and that's not just because you're significantly taller than me. I appreciate that when you find something that you like, you're fully bought in. You're all in on something. I think about our time in advisory. Your enthusiasm for our games, namely fishbowl, drew everyone else in. I also think about in advisory how you were happy to share your faith, you were eager to jump at reading the scripture passage at the beginning, and willing to give our cornerstone devotion. And even thinking about today, praying at the end of our chapel today. As an athlete, you were all in. Played soccer, basketball, golf, and not only were you an excellent player, but you brought such a leadership and respect to those teams. As a student, you were fully bought in. You started my first, probably my last standing ovation for just teaching a lesson. And then when everybody else wanted to boycott my lesson because maybe my handwriting is not so great, you stepped in to finish that lesson. In all seriousness, you're such a hard worker, you're an incredible thinker, and you've pursued and achieved academic excellence here at Trinity. But I'd say, to me, most importantly, your commitment and heart were on display when you led the run for MCA. I think it's so cool that you participated in this run in elementary school, and then as a senior, led this. And I could really tell that through your trip to MCA in South Africa, you brought a renewed inspiration to the run and really reminding us why this mission is so important. I will miss you a lot next year, and I'm excited to see how God uses your all-in attitude at Duke.
Nicole, we are so glad you decided to come to Trinity. Your strength of character, your desire to challenge yourself, and your eagerness to grow in different areas all led you to leave a place you knew and dear friends before your junior year so you could finish high school with us. Your diligence and your enthusiasm for learning kept you going through all the challenges of adjusting to your new environment. Your avid reading and your love for history helped you not only make the transition, but thrive as a student. We've been blessed by you, not just as a scholar, but by you as a person. From the start of your time at Trinity, you have demonstrated vulnerability and authenticity, freeing others to be themselves. Your joy is contagious. Your positive attitude brightens each room you enter, and your strong sense of justice enables you to fight for others. You treat each person as a friend, and each friend as family. You love to talk about things that really matter and have blessed classmates and teachers through the questions you ask and the comments you share in classes. Your podcast with Ruby Wadman, titled Big Sister Experiences, Learn, Grow, Heal, showcased all these different parts of you. We are so grateful that you chose to spend these last 2 years at Trinity, and we know you will help many people learn, grow, and heal in the years ahead. May God bless you.
Sashi. When you walk into a room, joy swells, energy levels crescendo, and your smile brightens the ambiance. Others quickly perceive this trait of yours within seconds of meeting you. However, as your teacher, it has been my privilege to see and hear a few of your other gifts. When writing your scarlet letter paper, you insightfully explored moral ambiguity and the reality and consequences of universal sin, namely how unconfessed sin weighs you down and eats at your soul. Hard-hitting expository writing.
You also feel deeply and process these feelings powerfully through poetry. In an original poem about a friend in serious anguish, you wrote, "I fail to be the rock she needs. Instead, I am a willow, bending with the smallest of pressure." Heartbreaking but beautiful language. You also love Jesus, and through Young Life, you share this love, pointing others in his direction. One of your peers even recently shared that you played a huge role in leading them closer to Christ. What a testament. Now, just last week, I read a paper you wrote about your grandfather, a man born and raised in the Soviet Union, a journalist known for his expository writing, zest for life, passion, laughter, energy, and especially toward the end of his life, his faith. Sound familiar? You concluded by writing, "His legacy of light, joy, and passion lives on through his next generations. I proudly carry his family name with me." Indeed, if your grandfather could see the joyful, cheerful, bright, passionate, faithful writer, thinker, and friend you are today, he would undoubtedly be proud to see his legacy flourishing brighter than ever through you. So congratulations, good luck, you will be missed.
Paul Kang is a student who has developed the stamina to work hard in order to pursue excellence in every class he has taken. I have personally observed him develop the mental discipline necessary to perform well with an ever-growing academic load. Consequently, he has plans to study at North Carolina State with an overseas experience in Prague next year. Paul is also known for his love of basketball. Paul's passion for basketball began in 5th grade, and when Paul is not studying, you can find him training and conditioning for basketball, coaching kids in basketball at the Y, traveling on his club team, or playing ball at Trinity. His love for the game is contagious. About 3 weeks ago, I had the chance to visit Forest View Elementary, the school where Paul's class, the Augustine Project, tutors young kids in reading, writing, and spelling. For capstone, Paul decided to volunteer in Forest View's after-school program. What became clear to me that afternoon was the amazing impact that Paul's investment had had on this program. And through your capstone presentation, it was evident that God had greatly rewarded his faithfulness with your faithfulness with a joy-filled experience full of an abundance of love heaped upon you from the students and the staff. Paul, you served others well. 2 Corinthians reminds us, "He who sows generously will also reap generously, for God loves a cheerful giver." Paul continued to pursue academic excellence, continue to discipline your mind and body, pursue Jesus with a passion, and serve others well. God is able to bless you abundantly so that in all things and in all times, having all that you need, you will abound in every good work.
Zoe, what a wonderful 3 years we have had with you. The grace, flexibility, and balance required of you as a gymnast show up in everything you do. You live a life of grace, affirming the infinite value of every person you meet. You are an exceptional student, a gifted violinist, and a talented gymnast, with a heart finely tuned not to the applause, but to the giver of all these good gifts. Even with all your academic, artistic, and athletic success, you know this is not a perfect world. We've seen your flexibility as you've had to adapt to the limitations of injury, as you faced challenges running the Spanish tutoring program for your capstone, and as you adapted your teaching to meet the needs of your student in the Augustine Project. You find hard work rewarding. You have an immense well of willpower. You thrive on challenges, and you know how to recover from setbacks. In addition to your grace and flexibility, you are also a person of balance. Authentic and firm in your convictions, you are also drawn to people who think differently than you. You are a person of passion, but that never keeps you from seeing the people around you. The gifts you receive, you share with others as tutor, coach, friend, and sister. You hold together a high value for truth and a default of love. We are so grateful for how you've shared your gifts among us. We know that your grace, flexibility, and balance will continue to bless people in the future.
Ashlyn, your time at Trinity was brief but impactful. You give credit to your peers and teachers for this smooth transition, but I believe this success is also a result of your strengths: curious intelligence, joyful kindness, tenacity, and courage. Highlights of your curiosity and intelligence include eager participation in physics investigations and diligent preparation for C.S. Lewis discussions with annotated texts and questions at the ready. And I'll miss rebounding free throws while you summarize your recent reading, anything from neuroscience to theology. Your obliging joyfulness was demonstrated by your willingness to contribute wherever help was needed. All over campus, you cheerfully filled water coolers, assisted lower school PE classes, took photographs, edited videos. The impact of your helpfulness will likely continue as Trinity develops the athletic trainer internship inspired by your capstone work. And finally, your undeniable tenacity on the basketball court and hustle around the track led to victories for your team and awarded you the Trinity Lionheart 3 times over. As I reflect on your time here, I recall numerous injuries and health challenges you faced during the season. Regardless of her actual health situation, but based purely on a desire to compete and contributed, when I asked you how you are feeling, the response was inevitably, "I'm fine." Ashlyn, as you face the challenges that come with the next stage of life, augment this response. Instead of solely relying on that dogged determination, know that your Creator has also blessed you with joy, kindness, curiosity, and intelligence, and you will indeed be just fine.
Scott Lloyd, you epitomize the modern day Renaissance man. Your brilliance is matched only by your unwavering humility and your ever-present smile. Throughout this past year, I've been continually astonished by your vast array of interests, ranging from the intricacies of mechanical engineering to the profound depths of philosophy and the complexities of finance. In the robotics lab, Scott is meticulous in nature, and his analytic prowesses were constantly on display. I can vividly recall witnessing your relentless dedication to the perfect airplane, launching paper airplanes countless times in the pursuit of flawlessness. However, what has truly distinguished Scott is his undying enthusiasm and passion for the one piece of a robot that is pivotal and useful in so many ways, the quad block. Much like the quad block, Scott, you have served as the cornerstone of our team and provided stability and unity, bringing things together. While my interactions with Scott were primarily within the realm of robotics, I'm aware he has equal fervor for exploring philosophical inquiries and navigating the intricacies of the world of finance. Your commitment to teamwork is evident both in robotics, also in swimming, and it undoubtedly enhances the cohesion and success of each of those teams. Quoting the scientist and Lafayette University alumni Michael Faraday, work and then finish. Armed with your exceptional analytical acumen, insatiable curiosity, keen attention to detail, and boundless optimism, Scott, you are poised to make an indelible impact on the world. I have no doubt your future accomplishments will inspire generations to come.
I had the pleasure of having Zoe Lloyd for Algebra 2 during her junior year. Zoe always displayed the characteristics you want in a student. She was always on time, always prepared, took excellent notes, had laser focus, asked great questions, showed her work, and excelled academically. Beyond that, Zoe embodies the characteristics you want in any student, that you want in yourself, and to be honest, that I want in myself. She is incredibly kind. She treats those around her with respect, grace, and dignity. Zoe brought a warmth and a cheerfulness to my classroom that is rare in a math class. My pathway to being an educator was unplanned. I wasn't thinking about it at my graduation. But students like Zoe keep me in the classroom and make me eternally grateful to be an educator. Zoe, you display the love of Christ clearly and unmistakably. I see tangibly in you what Scripture says in Habakkuk 3:18. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord, and I will be joyful in God, my Savior. It was a pleasure to be your teacher, but much more to just know you and to be around you. I pray that as you leave us and venture toward the next leg of your race, that the Lord will be with you. He has fought for you, he is mighty, and he, like all of us, take great delight in you.
Matthew, you are one of the more reticent students in our upper school. Reticent is a ninth grade vocabulary word that means inclined to be silent, uncommunicative in speech, reserved. Here's an example. On the day in 1945 when British mathematician and philosopher Alfred North Whitehead was to receive the Order of Merit from Harvard University, he wrote in his journal describing the faculty room where they were gathered that the room had an air of reticent dignity. Reticent dignity. As we are gathered here in 2024 to recognize your merits, Matthew, each one of us tonight could also write in our journals that you have carried yourself with an aspect of reticent dignity. That air of silence both fits you and at times can keep others from seeing what you have brought to our community. Since you transferred to Trinity in your junior year, every one of your teachers has commented on how hard you work. They have also noted that you exemplify servant leadership by seeing needs and working on them without being asked and without asking for recognition. That you are faithful to do what you promise, and that after you serve, you are still ready to serve. In all this, you remain humble and gentle with a ready smile. Matthew, you have embodied these character traits while transferring in the middle of high school, meeting new academic challenges, and navigating life decisions as a senior. You have embodied one of Trinity's founding phrases, esse quam videri, to be rather than to seem. You have done without the need to be seen, and we thank you for your model of reticent dignity. You have been a model Trinity student, and we are honored to have had you on our roster.
Alex, your fresh perspective, pursuit of wisdom, empathy, and intelligence were a joy to encourage and have blessed the upper school. Often you were found engaged in a philosophical conversation, humbly listening to others, but also contributing with an informed perspective. The wisdom offered to the student body during a recent senior panel reveals you have spent hours reflecting on life's big questions. This pursuit of knowledge is balanced with empathy. Many facets of your life demonstrate a belief in the value of human life. Engaging in respectful conversations with peers, volunteering at a kindergarten for children with disabilities, listening to refugee stories while on a multi-day walk designed to draw attention to their plight, and of course, consuming a ghost pepper in an ill-advised fundraising scheme. Your intelligent and insightful questions kept me hopping, carrying any material presented 2 steps further and wondering how this knowledge impacts other fields of study, anything from airfoil design to economic theory. All these characteristics bundled together brought energy into the classroom and were delightfully seasoned with impish humor. At the whiteboard one day, midway through a multi-step problem on rotational speed, I looked back to see you frustrated. Your response to my query was, "Mrs. Gibble, all that writing is making my head hurt. The answer is 6. The answer was 6. Although I do think a thorough step-by-step analysis has merit, being able to think deeply about a problem and reason out a solution has tremendous merit. Alex, I encourage you to continue your pursuit of knowledge and wisdom and continue to look for ways to love your neighbor.
Addie, you have a gift for making things. I don't know if you know this about yourself, but one of the things you have a gift for making is questions. I've been thinking of some questions you created in your final reflection for my class on epidemics, and I'm going to use your own words here because I'm so impressed with the questions that you came up with. You took the central metaphor of the class, that epidemics hold a mirror up to society, and you extended that metaphor. You asked, was God in the reflection, suffering and questioning along with his creation through these experiences? Or was he holding the mirror, a silent and just deity? These are incredible questions with rich implications. And I can't think of a better display of learning than to come away from the experience of a class, a high school career, or the experience of a lifetime with such vital questions. Over your high school career, you've grown into a young woman who genuinely loves learning. You love to pursue challenging questions and really wrestle with them, turning them over and over in your ever-active mind. And yet you never do this in isolation. You warmly invite others in, and you find joy in listening to others as a part of your learning. Now, this growth hasn't happened without challenges. In the science of learning, people sometimes talk about desirable difficulties. You've learned a lot about yourself over the course of these 4 years through many difficulties. These probably didn't feel desirable, but your teachers universally notice the confidence and courage that you have developed through this process. Connecting back to your question, I wonder, was God with you in the difficulties, in the suffering, or was he holding the mirror, justly reflecting back to you your need for him? I wonder, can it be both? I pray you keep making and keep wondering at Belmont and beyond.
Liam, more than any other student, you've kept me on my toes as a teacher. Whether you were aimlessly wandering around the room, accidentally shattering glasses of iced coffee, or sharing whatever hot take you had up your sleeve, I never quite knew what to expect. Yet, amidst these random shenanigans, you also brought us sincere and profound reflections to our humanities discussions. When you're interested in something, whether it's old films, Butch Cassidy, or egregiously long Cold War documentaries, you are unstoppable. You dive into your interests with curiosity, meticulously exploring every detail. What sets you apart is your genuine sincerity. Your self-reflections are honest and vulnerable, offering insights that display a maturity well beyond your years. You have grown so much during your time at Trinity, I think you know that, all the while bringing a great deal of joy to those around you. And while your portrayal of Abraham Lincoln during a simulation activity in humanities has inadvertently convinced 1/3 of your graduating class to genuinely believe that Lincoln used an army of alligators to resupply Fort Sumter, a responsibility that falls squarely on your shoulders. Nonetheless, your insights and contributions have been boundless. Don't ever stop diving into what interests you, asking a million questions, and embracing the randomness and brilliance that is Liam Moon.
Ryan. While I'm honored to be speaking on Ryan this evening, I must say I feel slightly underqualified given all of the people in the room and outside the room that have been a part of Ryan's life for as many years here at Trinity. I honestly don't know what Trinity looks like without Ryan. In my 2 years here, it's kind of all I've ever known. It was the first guy I met back in March of 2022. I was on campus for the big interview thing, and we had reached the bit of the day where Ryan and Gabby showed me around a bit. And right in front of the South Building, my first impression of Ryan was, as I approached him to shake his hand, was, why are this young man's fingernails painted? I didn't think I remembered. Then when I shook his hand, he proceeded to what I would describe as TikTok dancing while maintaining eye contact with me in the handshake. This was supposed to be the least awkward part of that 8-hour day. I was ironically relieved to go into Dr. Denton's office next, and then he started dancing. Despite Ryan's outwardly gregarious and sometimes dramatic exterior, he's inwardly tenacious. In addition, as Ms. Newman said, in his capstone project with Gigi's Playhouse, He has a goodness and kindness about him that spreads to all around. And I too have come to love and respect him as the loyal companion, phenomenal leader, and empathetic human that he is. Ryan, I am proud of you and I'm grateful for you. I do not take for granted that you call me coach. And I'm honored to have led with you and been a part of your legacy here. Speaking of legacy, there's a large group of underclassmen that are now proud to be Trinity athletes because of your companionship. And you're a role model for future leaders in several capacities. I think you'd make a heck of a coach if that's part of your path and you always have a spot on my staff. Congratulations on a job well done and best of luck next year in Chapel Hill.
On her first day in the upper school, Caroline wandered into my winter room, eager to take part in some tabletop role-playing adventures with a group of friends, some old and some as yet unmet. From that moment, Caroline was on a new trajectory in her life. She was obsessed. The beautiful thing here, though, isn't that she was just excited by playing D&D. She was bewitched by all the things that are at play behind the scenes. The storytelling, the collaboration, the acting, the empathy, the friends, the world building. And all of these things that speak so deeply to who Caroline is point to her as embodying God in two fundamental ways: creation and love. There is no doubt in anyone's mind that Caroline is one of the most creative students that has come through Trinity in a very long time. We only need to look at her visual artwork on paper, canvas, her wall, her jeans, her shoes, her endeavors on and behind the stage, or the world she's created to explore with her friends, to know that creation is a core part of Caroline's being. And so much of this time and energy spent on these creative works comes directly from a desire to understand and draw close to those around her. It comes from a deep well of agape, often overlooked because it's a quiet, unobtrusive love. So Caroline, as you are starting your UNC journey, never let anyone get in the way of your love for others or RPGs, because it is truly a gift from God who knew exactly what he was doing when he made you.
Of course it would be me. Kylie Palmer, joyful, courageous, resilient, and confident. What a beautiful lady you are, inside and out. You have always been a delight to know and a pleasure to teach. You are a friend to so many, showing kindness and faithfulness to all, and no matter what, you always see the silver lining. I'm so glad you chose to make your capstone about the power of dance. Through the medium of dance, you were able to express your energy, emotions, and imagination without boundaries. Kylie, one of the wonderful ways I witnessed your goodness and your joy so bountifully that you shared with others was during COVID. Your love of dance brought students together. A wise person once said that to watch us dance is to see our hearts speak. When you invited others to dance with you, you gave them a way to express without words the difficult emotions that were so hard to process, express, and articulate during such a challenging time in history. What a gift that was to Trinity, and what a gift you are to Trinity. As you now leave with a heart and mind set on helping others through the healing hands of medicine, may you always find that the Lord is your strength and your shield. I pray your heart always trusts in him so that your heart leaps for joy with song and dance, and that you are able to praise the God who made all things wonderful and lovely, including you, sweet Kylie. I will miss you.
serene, passionate, intelligent, meticulous, inquisitive, patient, kind, caring, punctilious. All of these words characterize the Peyton Palmer that I have grown to know and love. Peyton, you have shown me how the quiet voice, which I do not have, can be the one heard across a room. You express yourself with such eloquence and grace. You are certainly a modern-day Renaissance man, student, sculptor, cellist, researcher, athlete, and social justice warrior. Yet, with all that you do and all that you are, you still make time to swing by my office and say hello, unless you're looking for a certain someone or you want a snack. I could never seem to keep you to that one snack, one visit rule, but that's just gonna be our secret. As a fellow Philomath, I also enjoy research. So I did a little research on you, and here's what I've discovered. Your teachers have enjoyed your intentionality, your creativity, your decisiveness, your steadfastness, and your perseverance. All fine qualities of a young man whose presence will be missed. When you come home from college and you find you have some time, be sure to stop by. I'll be there. I'm always there. I'll have a bag of chips or two for you. And wherever you go, Peyton, be sure to go with God. Godspeed.
I speak tonight about a young man with a soft heart and a deep voice. The one, the only, Zach Powery. I shall praise him here with 3 G's. G for grit, G for glue, and G for gold. Let's talk about grit. No one works harder or hustles more than this man. I think that's why sneakers have become such an interest. The shoes take potential, sport by sport, game by game, and they maximize it. It took grit for Zach to crush his classes while doing sports, volunteering, teaching a Wintram, and partnering with Nike for his capstone. Every time he seems at his limit, he laces up. Yeah, you get it. He laces up, and he takes another shot. That's grit. But let's talk about glue. Coach Williams says Zach has a special kind of leadership, the kind that brings and keeps a team together. That's why Zach loves being a peer mentor and a student ambassador. Those who are new get brought in, and those who are old get inspired. People are drawn to this man. They're drawn to him not because he's greedy for likes, but because he gives it all for the group. That's glue. Let's talk about gold. Zach, there is a vein of gold, of goodness that runs through your heart. And it's not hard to see. Whether you're tutoring kids, serving folks with disabilities, or listening to a friend at the Honor Council table, the brightness of your witness shines out. We're going to miss that glow around here. But we know that the next challenge is going to polish you even brighter. So keep the grit, be the glue, and share that gold. God bless.
actually doesn't matter, but I'm not going to break the back and forth, so sorry. I'm not going to lie. I have been looking forward to writing this tribute for 5 years, ever since I had her in my Spanish 3 class my first year at Trinity. I'm really sorry. I mixed up Gracie and Ava again. Okay, Gracie. Ever since you were a freshman, you continually tried to measure yourself up against your sisters, going as far as covering up a picture of Ava on RG's board with a sticky note that says simply, Gracie Rao. But as someone who spent 80% of their educational career teaching one Rao or another, let me be clear that you are most certainly your own person. You know exactly who you are, and you never let anyone else's decisions or ideas keep you from following your own path. This individuality is seen through things like your love for all things secondhand, no matter whether it's thrifted or taken from a friend. And from your unique ability to draw in anyone and everyone. As you're moving on from Trinity, blazing the trail to McAllister, where no Rao has ever gone before, you're leaving behind a legacy more than just Ava's sister. Whether it's because of the linguistic impact you've had on your calc class, or all the work you've done volunteering to help victims of domestic abuse, everyone knows you to be a strong, independent young woman who's never afraid of doing the hard work to be successful. So Gracie, as you're transitioning into this next phase of your life, never forget that you have so much to offer the world because of the incredible woman that you are, not just the incredible women that you've grown up comparing yourself to.
James, it's truly been a privilege just to get to know you over this time. And while you may not always wear your emotions on your sleeve like other people, I have had the opportunity just to get to know you through the depth of your character. Here are some remarkable qualities I've observed about you. First, your willingness to grow is evident. Whether it's through your own initiative or seeking guidance from others, you consistently strive to improve, both on the track and in the classroom. Through hearing about your indoor track capstone, I realized that you also possess the ability to see people as individuals, recognizing their current position and guiding them towards their goals and their own milestones, and not imposing your goals on them. But your support empowered them to reach to where they wanted to go. In the classroom, you're an attentive listener and adept at processing information. You respect the contributions of others and seek to validate them and clarify their points, while you also add your own. Your drive is undeniable, whether it's on the track or in your studies. You relentlessly pursue your goals, pushing yourself and inspiring those around you to do the same. You have great self-awareness and unwavering commitment to personal growth. These qualities collectively paint a portrait of what true leadership is. You lead by example, guiding others while also listening attentively to their needs and ambitions. James, you embody the essence of a leader. Your presence will undoubtedly be missed as you embark on the next chapter of your journey. Blessings to you.
I have had the pleasure of knowing Anna for the past 3 years as her sophomore advisor, junior biology teacher, and once again as her senior advisor. Anna always has a positive attitude and is kind and encouraging to everyone around her. She is always willing to jump in and help, whether she's organizing events for advisory, the senior class, or student government, or leading Cornerstone devotions. She will even run to make sure she is there for that devotion on time. Anna is passionate about serving others and has a gift for working with kids. For her senior capstone project, she served in the children's ministry at her church in a variety of ways, such as helping organize the Christmas pageant and the kids' Stations of the Cross service in order to help children understand the significance of Christ's birth, death, and resurrection. It's clear that kids also love Anna, as seen during our Trinity Easter Chapel when the seniors led in the kindergartners. While seniors typically lead one kindergartner down the aisle, Anna had 3 clinging to her. Anna has certainly left her mark here at Trinity through her involvement in what seems like everything, from playing on the volleyball, disc golf, and soccer teams, to performing in musical theater and vocal ensemble, to serving as secretary of student government. Anna's absence next year will truly be felt, for her kind heart and servant attitude have an impact on whatever she does. Anna, we are going to miss you here at Trinity, but I am excited for you to begin your next adventure at Baylor. I know God is going to use you in incredible ways, and I can't wait to see what He has in store for you.
Yes, Charlie, you were right. I'm doing your tribute. Charlie, over the past few years, you have been on a path of incredible growth and change, overcoming obstacles and challenges that would have caused many of us to throw in the towel. Your perseverance and your resilient spirit have been inspiring to me and to so many others. And on this journey, I've seen you grow in your understanding of yourself, taking greater ownership in what you really want, becoming an advocate for yourself. Whether it's starting your own business on the side, or getting up at crazy hours to train and teach others, or getting more serious about your academics, you have increasingly made the hard choices you need to make, and have pursued your goals with intentionality and passion. But I'm gonna try not to cry. What I've always loved most about you, Charlie, is your authenticity and your humility. You are never fake. You never try to pretend to be something you're not. And when you know you can trust someone, you're one of the most real and vulnerable people I've ever known. These qualities, resiliency, perseverance, humility, authenticity, these come together to make you an incredible model for others and teacher of others. As you move on from here, I hope you will share these gifts and share the gifts of your experience and your wisdom that you've gained. You've blessed so many who've had the pleasure to know you here, and I can't wait to see what God has for you in this next season.
I'm so glad with these glasses I cannot see your face. Kyron, you have been on the periphery of my life for years now. It was through sports that I first met your family. You're the same now as you were when you were shorter than me. And yes, that day did exist when you were shorter than me. You were kind, respectful, joyful, and just plain nice. When I came to Trinity, I was glad to discover that you were here too. I was happy to realize that you maintained those same indelible qualities that you had as a child, but I also saw something more. I saw Kyron the role model, and Kyron the motivated learner. I saw Kyron the artist. I saw a young man whose joviality put a smile on the faces of his classmates and teachers. I am so proud of what you have accomplished this year. Being a student athlete is not easy, but you did it. You've made it to the next level as you ascend to collegiate athlete status in August. Well done, young man. You have grown into what my grandmother would describe as a man of substance, a man who values others above himself, who understands the importance of a kind word, and a man who strives to be the best, whatever the challenge. A man who carries himself with dignity and pride. A man who is an asset to his family and his community. Thank you for being an example of a young man that we can all be proud of. And until we meet again, may the God that loves us all hold you in the palm of his hand. Now that was the director. This is some Mama Satterfield advice. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not to your own understanding, and in all your ways acknowledge him. And I know that he will direct your path.
It's been an interesting 3 years, hasn't it, George? And actually, that alone is remarkable. It's been 3 years. You didn't have to continue on in my classes. I don't know if anybody told you that. And Latin hasn't come easily for you, but here we are, and you just ended Latin 5 with your highest test score to date. You stuck it out, you showed grit when it mattered most, and for that I really am proud of you. Over these 3 years, I've also seen you become something of a mentor to those behind you. In our advisory for students in LSL, on the tennis team, and I'm sure elsewhere, you're willing to share your experiences with remarkable transparency, just to help others better themselves. From matters spiritual to social, academic to athletic, you've helped guide our underclassmen in various directions, but on average, a positive one. Your advice on humanities essays was problematic. In all seriousness, speaking for our advisory, since it's where I've witnessed this firsthand, you are in no small part responsible for the authentic community we've begun to form, and that legacy will live on. And I think it's because, after all the great moments we've walked through together, and the low points too, you've shown that we can grow from both. I'll never forget our small, seemingly fleeting chats where on some topic or other, you stepped outside of yourself, asked real questions, and actually altered course. Not many people do that. So over these 3 years, you've most of all reminded me that Lord knows we can change. Lord, help us. We can change. Lord, we can change. So won't you fly high, free bird? Yeah.
Daniel, I've really enjoyed getting to know you over these 4 years. Whether baseball or pre-cal or advisory or calc, it's been a pleasure. I've got to see just a great work ethic that you have. You have an amazing sense of humor, and your leadership has left an impact here at Trinity. I've seen your hard work in the classroom. You were the first student to really take the Desnos project to a new level, depicting our win over Salem Baptist. The win was awesome, the Desnos project was awesome. You've excelled in every hard course that we have to offer. And to me, the coolest thing is I've never heard you complain about your schoolwork. Well, as far as humor, let's say when a classmate of yours repeats a question, and then another classmate repeats a question, and then I know immediately Daniel's gonna raise his hand, he's gonna ask that same question again. It's a perfect display of your quick-witted humor. Or let's say you don't want to sit in class. If Daniel doesn't want to sit down in class, he's going to take his chair, put it on top of his desk, and he's going to use that seat to write on, the standing desk. I've got a front row seat to watch you grow up as a leader in the high school. It's been really cool to see that, especially on the baseball team. You're a great source of encouragement to all the players. The younger guys look up to you. And Coach tells me that he really relies on you to give insights during and after games, and that you've really grown in that your 4 years on the team. I hear that on the robotics team, you incorporate all the team members' ideas. I hear that that's true even if they're bad ideas, that you listen. We're going to miss you a lot next year. Georgia Tech is lucky to have you. I will think of you often as VT beats you guys next year.
Isabel, last May you gifted me a copy of Anne in Green Gables after finding out what a travesty it was that I had never read it. After laughing, fretting, and crying with Anne, I saw many lovely similarities between you and her. Now, as I say goodbye, nothing seems more fitting than to use her words as a guide. First, the world calls them its singers and poets and artists and storytellers, but they are just people who have never forgotten the way to fairyland. Isabel, you are a talented singer, writer, artist, and storyteller. With these gifts, you have moved and blessed others on the stage and in the classroom. Never forget your way to fairyland, even when others have. Second, people laugh at me because I use big words. But if you have big ideas, you have to use big words to express them, haven't you? Isabel, continue to use big words, think big thoughts, and feel big feelings. Not because you're trying to, but because it seems unnatural to try not to. God fearfully and wonderfully made you this way. Whether you're recreating historic fashions, analyzing a good book, or dancing like a yellow plume bird in a musical, continue to boldly be who God created you to be. Finally, I'm not a bit changed. I'm only just pruned down and branched out. Through painful pruning and beautiful branching, you have grown into a brilliant, bright, passionate, and imaginative young woman. Most of all, just like Anne erroneously worried her unique precocious ways were more burden than blessing to the inhabitants of Avonlea, you likely have no clue how much of a delightful blessing you, your creativity, and your insight have been to us here at Trinity. So know this. Just like Anne with an E was a blessing to Avonlea, so have you blessed me and all of us here at Trinity.
Grayson. Never told him this, but Grayson reminds me of the legendary Australian rugby player, Nicholas Kumo, also known as the honey badger. They're both built like freight trains. They both prioritize hair care. And Grayson's capstone podcast is shockingly similar to Nick's podcast, Tales of the Honey Badger. I think Grayson's next episode should be his Tale of the Conference Championship with a little bit of Nick's Aussieisms sprinkled in. That particular match, we were up 1-0, and in the final minute, a stray ball popped out and landed right at their striker's feet, who was the #1 scorer in the state, now eyeing our open net like a cat in a pigeon coop. Solano was nowhere to be seen, rolling around on the ground somewhere. No defenders. I was already planning overtime, and out of nowhere, Grayson pops up like a curly-haired badger from a burrow. And typically at this point in time, you would close down the angle and throw a leg out and try and block the shot, but Grayson just squared up with the feller about 6-7 yards away gave everyone a Schwarzenegger flex, and then took a 100-mile-per-hour shot directly in the chest. Never seen anything like it. Let out a yell, all the small children went inside. It was fascinating. Podcast gold here, you're welcome. In addition to Grayson's athletic prowess, he's a smart, thoughtful young man who humbly makes a team or a class better. He exudes a confident calmness and quiet leadership which balance out the clamoring world of sports and high school education. And the little buffers before and after a class starts and everybody gets settled, me and Grayson often practiced our golf swing with meter sticks in the lab and talk about YouTube and Red Dead Redemption. And as I wrote this speech and I'm looking back and reflecting, it's those little moments, not the big moments of football glory that I enjoyed the most. It's an elusive and rare spiritual gift, but Grayson possesses a heart where light can come through in these simple moments, just as strong, if not stronger than the big ones. Grayson, you embody the spirit of Matthew 5 to be salt and light, subtly magnifying the flavors of both our extraordinary and mundane experiences, while illuminating virtue. As you start to have more people in your sphere and go off to college, I pray you continue to enhance their lives and shine God's goodness. Congratulations.
During her sophomore year, I used to see Jada as fearless, but I think I was wrong. I have come to understand that it isn't that she does what she does without fear, it's that she does what she does in spite of fear. I first knew Jada when she was in my chemistry class, and she was a tenacious little soul. Her relentless work ethic combined with her sheer determination usually netted positive results, stoichiometry, but not always. When it didn't work out and she saw others netting greater reward despite working less, she still persisted. Where doubt and fear had the opportunity to erode resolution, Jada dug in. When the hard thing needs to be said, she's willing to say it. Not because she doesn't fear the blowback, but because she sees the importance of being open and honest in spite of the possible blowback. When the day comes you need someone to look you in the eye and kindly tell you the truth that you don't really want to hear, you'll wish you knew someone like Jada. Was she afraid to step away from a long-time sport she had dedicated so much time and energy to? Probably. Was she afraid to try 2 new sports in her last years at Trinity? Probably. Did fear stop her? Absolutely not. Because Jada can see beyond her fears. She is capable of more than most. Jada, we wish you the best. May your fortitude continue to serve you well.
You knew it had to be me. Okay. Provocative. Something or someone who provokes thought, asks questions, challenges the status quo. Ezra, you are someone who is not content to let assumptions about what is true or real or good go unquestioned. This is a great gift. I am acutely aware of how easily we all slip into accepting things as they are, how common it is in our society at this moment. And I'm convinced that this is part of what you are meant to bring to the people in your life and the communities you're a part of. You are also incredibly resilient, tough. This strength of character has been hard fought and hard won. I've watched you take on challenges these past few years, growing through them, changing in ways I couldn't have predicted your sophomore year, and I think you couldn't have either. I've been amazed at your perseverance and honestly inspired by the matter-of-fact attitude you bring to so much of life. accepting what you can't change, putting your head down, doing what needs to be done. This combination of challenging the status quo when it needs to be challenged and responding to difficulties in life with grit and determination make you a force. I've seen you increasingly live into that calling, becoming who you are meant to be without conforming to some preconceived idea that other people have of who you are. I stand here so proud of the young man you've become, of the ways you've embraced life, embraced authenticity, and have opened yourself up to the world and to other people. And I'm so excited to see what this next season brings for you, to see all the ways you will be a force for good in this world.
Well deserved. Abby, famed theater teacher Konstantin Stanislavski said, "An actor must love dreams and know how to use them." You truly embody this, Abby, and it has been an absolute delight to have a front row seat to your dreams over the past 3 years. You love dreaming up incredibly detailed characters for the stage, and you know how to use your dreams to bless others, creating the possibility of a lower school theater program through your capstone. If you've had the privilege of seeing Abby perform, you know that she absolutely lights up the stage, whether playing a sassy bird girl, an enchantress, or a dying young woman, twice. Sorry, Abby. Abby is tenacious in the pursuit of her passions, reflecting her desire to be the best she can be for God's glory, and her passion inspires others to creative pursuits as well, most obviously seen in her capstone, where she directed 18 lower school students in Frozen Kids. I asked each of your Frozen kids to share a single word that describes you, and one word was not enough for most of them. They described you as fun, patient, and 2 of them said that, creative, kind, creatively kind, serene, absolutely incredible, understanding, talented, smart, helpful, and caring. Seeing the undeniable impact you had reminded me of a lyric from Hamilton. What is a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you never get to see. The seeds you have planted in the hearts and lives that you have touched at Trinity will continue to bloom far after your time here concludes. You've become confident in the person God has created you to be, and it's been a joy to witness your journey. I'm so proud of you. You are so very loved and will be deeply missed here at Trinity, but Davidson is incredibly lucky to have you.
Ruby, I have seen you from plenty of different angles, and I could say a lot about all of them. Your academics, exemplary, not to mention that no one could possibly fault your choice for your plan to major in chemistry. Your tidiness, superb. My classroom still holds the evidence, though I'm afraid to report I've made a bit of a mess of my desk since you finished chemistry. Your ability to make choices for your future self, exquisite. In fact, current Ruby should thank past Ruby daily for her efficient work and for never procrastinating. Book recommendations, sublime. I've spent plenty of happy hours with them when I have time to dear. But I digress, because while all of these anecdotes are good ones and describe your many qualities well, they aren't the story I wanted to share tonight. The story is, instead, one told to me by Nicole. Apparently, on her first day of school, you, and I believe the word she used was marched, up to Nicole and said, "You're new, sit with us." While most of us would have wanted to be welcoming, you actually were, and boldly so. Maybe you just accosted her because you sensed she was a fellow card-playing junkie. Or maybe you knew friendship is hard and wanted to offer it to someone who might need it. Ruby, you will no doubt continue to be a model student, but more importantly, you'll build your community. You'll take your friends that you have here, collect new friends at NC State, and no doubt host the most epic card games with all of them together. Congrats, Ruby, we'll miss you.
Grace. In our spring musical, Seussical, we had the privilege of watching you play Gertrude McFuzz, the bird with the one feather tail, who journeys to confidence as she learns to embrace her uniqueness. While we knew your singing voice was beautiful, we were mesmerized by your hilarious and heartfelt performances. Some of the authenticity in Gertrude came from experiences that you may have shared with Gertrude in your own journey through the upper school. Stepping outside of your comfort zone, pursuing deeper friendships, and standing up for things and for people about which you're passionate. When you commit to something, Grace, you're all in. For some people, it takes years to discover what they love. But Grace, you've always known that you wanted your life to be filled to overflowing with music. As someone whose gifts and talents often fly under the radar, I love the creative risks that you've taken this year, leading worship, tackling your role in Seussical, and writing and producing your own EP. The strength of your character has shown up in big ways this year through your incredible talent and your brilliant mind. In the classroom, you are extremely thoughtful, finding important nuances in complicated text and integrating what you learn with real-world experiences. You are deeply relational, as seen in your strong love for your family, your involvement with people of diverse cultures, and the pursuit of a music career where you desire to use your gift to help others. As you go from Trinity, I hope that you'll remember the words of a different children's book, Winnie the Pooh. Promise me you'll always remember that you are braver than you believe and stronger than you seem and smarter than you think. We will miss you, Grace, but we cannot wait to hear what the next verse of your life song will bring.
Caitlin, in the time I have known you, I have been especially struck by your self-awareness and maturity. Seeing you become confident in who you are and the personal strides you have made has been truly inspiring. Your personal journey, as especially highlighted through your capstone presentation and your sketchbook, tackling the ever-looming specter that is perfectionism, is such a testament to your depth of character. You have such amazing gifts, clearly as an artist, a cellist, but you also have a gift of wisdom and reflection. We have seen you gain a healthy perspective of your own life and learn to be patient with yourself. Such a penchant for inward reflection can lead to self-absorption, but not so with you. What is truly beautiful is seeing how you share your wisdom with others, and I've seen that especially during advisory. I admire you for the standards you set for yourself and others and how people should be treated, and we could all learn a lot from your example. Further still, you are a compassionate friend, always ready to lend an ear or a shoulder to cry on. Even for those you don't know especially well, you have been there to comfort and to guide them. Caitlin, we are so proud of you. We will all miss you greatly, but we are excited for you to continue on your road of reflection as you pursue your interests in biology at Virginia Commonwealth University. Whatever community you become a part of, they don't know how lucky they are to have you. And we hope that they can learn from you as much as we have.
Parker, you were one of the first students I ever met at Trinity. I had known you for approximately 2 weeks when you walked into my office, sat down to chat, and proceeded to ask, "Miss Baker, what do you think about Armageddon?" And it was in that moment that I thought to myself, this student is different. By different, I specifically mean that you are not afraid to think differently, to think deeply, to think with emotion and conviction. Parker, within your different thinking, you have a profound desire for justice. You long for goodness and decency and mutual respect and understanding. We have had many conversations in which you grapple with the concepts of good and evil, of faith, and of purpose in life. As you've considered these various topics, you have looked at the world around you, the pain you've experienced, the joy you've experienced, and you have asked important questions. And my encouragement to you as you ask these important questions is to listen to the wisdom and experiences of others as you form your opinions and beliefs. Allow others to speak into your life just as you let God speak into your life. Because what I know to be true about you, Parker, is that you have an immense capacity for love. For those with whom you choose to be vulnerable, you give your love freely and fully. And what we know above all is that God is love. And I see God's love and his heart for others in you, Parker. And so, I leave you with a quote from Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, which says, "I am sure you are capable of good things, gentle things, even magnanimous things."
What an amazing evening we've just experienced hearing about the class of 2024. Known and loved is a thing we tout at Trinity, and a lot of schools can talk about known and loved, but I would argue known and loved is different at Trinity. Why would it be different at Trinity? And I would like to read the verse, 1 John 4:7. "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God." See, our faculty and staff to come and work at Trinity, they have to confess their faith, and they go through a rigorous application process and interview with Dr. Denton, and they all know that God knows them and God loves them, and it's because of that knowledge that they're able to look at each and every one of their students and yearn to know and love them in that Christ-like way, and we've seen an illustration of that tonight. So would our upper school faculty and staff please stand so we can thank you for your love for the class of 2024. Thank you, faculty. Parents, genetics is a real thing. And your students, it's amazing to hear their stories because it's your legacy. And we thank you for partnering with us in helping raise your children. So with the parents of the class of 2024, please stand so we can thank you as well. And before I get to the class of 2024, I would also like to thank our advancement department, and especially Lindsay Curian, who arranged all the details for this great banquet tonight. So the advancement team and Lindsay, would you please stand? If she's probably doing something, but we want to give them a big thank you for this wonderful evening. And finally, to the class of 2024, what an amazing blessing and gift it was to hear about your journey through high school or through your journey through Trinity. You've set a high bar, and we look forward to celebrating you all tomorrow. What time do you need to be there? Okay, well done. Let me pray, and we will end our evening. Lord, we come before you in awe of your love, of your grace, and your mercy, and of your creation. We thank you for each and every one of these students that you created in your image. We thank you for calling them to Trinity. We thank you for how they have grown into remarkable young men and women right before our eyes, and we give you all the credit and glory for that, Lord. And now, as we turn our attention to celebrating their graduation tomorrow morning, I pray that they will leave tonight feeling your love and your peace that has been delivered through our faculty in their words. So we give them to you, and we give tomorrow's graduation to you, and we do it all for your glory. In Jesus' name, amen. We'll see you tomorrow at graduation.